Good morning and welcome to Shelf Talk with Tara and Tina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this premiere episode of Shelf Talk with Tara and Tina. We're your hosts. This is Tara Huck of Freshwater Press. I'm Tina Prigge of Coolest Coast, and our special guest today is Carie Paczkowski of the soon-to-open Uncorked Book Lounge in Two Rivers. Good morning, book lovers.
Good morning,
Good
Tina.
morning.
I have to say, it seems like such a privilege and a pleasure to be sharing the airwaves with fellow book lovers.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You know, Carie, you said something in an email. We asked you, okay, what are you currently reading? And you described yourself as a four book at a time kind of gal. And I thought, oh, that's me too. Tara, how are you? Are you like more than one at a time?
At least four, right?
Four at a minimum is what we're saying. So I know some readers, for some readers, that's an impossible conception to have multiple books going at once. How do you manage it and why do you do it that way?
Well, for me, as long as the books aren't kind of similar, I'm fine with it. And I usually have a book club book that I'm, reading my book club book. And that's usually a hard copy of a book. We often get them from the library or a local bookstore, but and then I have an audio. I always have an audio book going in my car. And then I usually have like a nonfiction that I'm kind of dabbling in here and there. And then I usually have a little bit of, I like to call it brainless smut. But I always have one of those going at any time. So for me, as long as they're kind of different and usually different, like I always have an audio and I always have a hard copy. Sometimes I'll have an ebook too if we're traveling. So if they're different, kind of different genres, different like ways to read, then that's how it works for me.
And
I
that
don't
makes perfect
yeah,
sense. It's like having different conversations, right? Different
exactly.
people
Yep.
you meet throughout the day. All right, Tara, is that similar for you, or what's your process like?
Yeah, I also like different genres. And I find in the morning, I like to read a poetry book that I have going just as a quick practice. I also listen to audiobooks in the car and while I'm doing household tasks. And then I usually have a novel on my phone as an ebook. So if I'm in waiting rooms, I can access that. And then a nonfiction book. Right now, my nonfiction book is about writing. It's usually about writing or business or health. Those are my nonfiction go-tos. So,
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily have nonfiction in my mix, but they are often quite different. And I do love to listen to audiobooks. The performances have just gotten quite incredible. Like it's part of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
The older I get too, I find I get more tired in the evening, and so then it's easier to listen to an audiobook rather than read a book.
yes, or you fall asleep, or as the light gets worse, it's harder to see. All these fun things.
Yes, we were just on an airplane and I was listening to my book and fell asleep. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I have to backtrack, 3 chapters because I fell asleep and I have no idea what's going on now. But that's easy, especially in an audiobook. So
Yeah, sometimes it's tragic, right? I'm like, oh no, I fell asleep and I have no idea how I missed a 10-year gap. But sometimes I also, if it's a book I'm not terribly invested in, but just the story, sometimes I don't mind that gap. And then I feel like, okay, it's like a cocktail party where I stepped away and now I'm back in the conversation. Can I figure out where they are in the story?
funny.
But it's not really fair to the author to do that, I think.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I use Libby through the library to place holds on audiobooks, and you're limited, right? You can only have 10. And sometimes the wait for popular books, do you ever find this, is like
Oh, yeah.
months and months out? So the book that I just finished, it was on my holds list for months, almost like 6 months, right? I started at like request number 2,717 or something, right? And like slowly watched it whittle down. And then 2 weekends ago, Jason and I, my husband, we were just about to play a Mario Kart race. And everything was ready, and I heard my phone buzz, and my son was out, and I thought, oh, I better check, just in case it's what time he's coming home for dinner. But I picked up my phone, and it was a Libby alert that my book was available, this one I had been waiting. So I said, Jason, wait, do not start the race. I have to borrow this right now. And sometimes if you wait, it like puts you back in the queue. He
Yes.
said, you know what, Tina, this is the first book emergency I've witnessed.
Do
What
you
book
ever
was it?
It was Atmosphere by Taylor
Oh,
Jenkins Reid. I just finished it. I'm so glad that I read this book. I really enjoyed it. Have you
yeah,
guys read it?
I love that book too. Loved it. And I pretty much love every Taylor Jenkins Reid book that she's written. I don't know if I'd call her my favorite author, but she's probably top three. But yeah, I love that book.
What do you think? Like, tell us what do you appreciate about this book? And I think this is the first I've read by her.
Oh, geez. I would say I loved how at the beginning you knew something. I don't want to give any spoilers here, but I guess I'm not. You know something goes wrong, and so the whole book you're trying to figure out kind of who the relationships are with, and there's so many interesting characters in that book, and I love the family dynamics. But I did love how right at the beginning you're like, okay, this is going to take a turn at some point, and then you see the build up to it. I just love her writing style too. I just think she just develops characters so well, and you just fall in love with their family members. And I love the niece aspect to the book, and yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I loved it too. I feel like her writing style really allows you to care, not about the people, about the situations. And I love that it's a strong female character, right? And there's like this science foundation. And if you notice, like the cover says a love story. And so I was thinking about that, right? There's kind of the obvious love story that unfolds, but then there's this love story for her niece, which is a remarkable, model to set, and then just also the love for the cosmos. But I love that it doesn't get too sciencey. Like at first I thought, oh no, am I not going to be able to follow where this goes because it's like too erudite? But no, it was so accessible. I really loved it.
Yeah, I like the inside look into the space program, although I don't know how accurate it was. But it reminded me being in the early 80s, I think it was, and watching the Challenger and being, just really invested in the space program in the 80s. And then to see the behind the scenes and this account, this love story, and the challenges that women faced, where only so many could work in the field and they were competing with each other, and then they still formed friendships somehow. That's what I really enjoyed about the book.
Right. Yeah, I did really like that aspect because I think it sets her up that she's one of the first of the women that get to even participate in this program. It's kind of groundbreaking in that way. It's funny. I pulled up Goodreads to see what some of the. I want to share this one first. This person loved the book, right? A cosmic symphony of grit, grief, and glory. Some stories don't blaze in, they drift in like stardust. Quiet, steady, unforgettable. Atmosphere is one of those, set against the backdrop of NASA and the unreachable stars. This novel isn't just about space, it's about the women who dared to dream beyond the limits they were given. It's about love that doesn't look the way we expect, about sacrifice that no one claps for, and about the quiet, stubborn courage it takes to exist fully in a world that keeps trying to shrink you. Taylor Jenkins Reid gives us a story that feels both vast and intimate, like looking up at the sky and somehow finding yourself in it. Isn't that an amazingly written review?
Wow, yeah.
I don't spend that much time, I think, on my reviews. I got to step up my game.
But then I found a review that is the converse of that, even though it still gave the book 3 stars. And I'm interested to know what you think about this. She said, one of my most anticipated reads of the year turned out to be underwhelming. I pre-ordered this book months ago, but it wasn't until my pre-order showed up that I saw the book had a subtitle, A Love Story. Romance isn't really my genre, but I reread the blurb and figured that maybe it was meant symbolically, like a love for the universe or for Earth, something like that.
It was an actual romance.
I don't think it was a romance novel at all, right? Am I wrong in that?
Well,
Yeah,
there's
I thought it was when I saw that, I was so confused because everybody kept saying it was a story about her and her, space career. But I think I wouldn't describe it as a romance, but I mean, there's definitely, a love element to the main character.
Right. Love is a common thread and a driving force. But like when I think romance, as a bookstore owner, would you shelve this with other romance novels?
No, I did not. Yeah. That's a good point. I would not classify it as a romance. I mean, it's just a good fiction novel about many different topics. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I loved this book, I think, in a way that I loved Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, right? And there's definitely a love element there too, but I wouldn't classify that as a romance novel.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tara, what are you reading?
So I read Lula Dean's Little Library of Banned Books, which is was our book club pick, and it's just there's the protagonist who is like for equal access to literature, and then there's the antagonist who's very afraid of what might be in books, and then the community cast of characters kind of embody the different books that are found in this library. And it's ironic because the library for Lula Dean, someone has um, came in and changed all the books to banned books instead of these wholesome cake baking and etiquette books. So it's really, but it did spark some discussion at book club, but everyone loved it because it's an important topic. Should we ban books? Should they be accessible to everyone? And it took this kind of serious topic and made it light, where you just kind of got carried away and rooting for the protagonist and being concerned for the antagonist.
Yeah, right, right. And by switching out the dust covers, people thought they were reading this, Lula Dean approved book, but really it was what was considered one of her banned books. And that ended up like changing their lives, right? Like people made important decisions based on what they learned in these books, which is so valuable.
Yeah. So I looked at the reviews too, and they were very long, so I don't have any to share on the screen today, but it really struck a emotional chord with a lot of people. They felt there was a 1-star reviews, there's 5-star reviews. Um, People are really interested in this issue of banning books. So that was, and passionate about it.
And did you find from the reviews or other readers that people agree with banning books?
It's like you would expect. There's a mix on this issue. There's some people who, I mean, I don't know that the reviews really said like we should ban books, but that I guess there was a concern that it became a political point, instead of being just about an issue, it became about a side. That was some of what the reviews were saying. But the book itself, I thought, was just about the issue and this fun cast of characters in a southern town.
And kind of taking a stand, right? Like they had to, the protagonist had to do what she did under cover of darkness to make a difference, right? To make a positive change.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, there are plenty of genres that I'm not interested in. There's plenty of books that, look, I don't need to read that. I'm not interested. But I would never say somebody else shouldn't read it if they weren't interested. I would never prevent somebody else from exploring that. Or, sometimes reading that, something that's counter to what we're already thinking is how you end up opening your mind even further, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I have not read this book, but it's definitely on my list, and it sounds great, and even for our book club. But I'm just listening to this as a very new bookstore owner, and it's been interesting, the thought process about banned books and about like just what to carry in general in your store, because I think in what I've learned, and maybe your experience has been the same, is that bookstores are kind of this place where free speech is encouraged, and it's they, not to get political at all, but as I'm putting books on my shelves, you're trying to think of, okay, who's going to come in here? Ultimately you want to sell books, right? But I also want to have books for everybody, and trying to I don't know, trying to manage that, or, are people going to get offended by this? Are people going to, if I have a banned book section, because I've talked about it, I don't have the room right now, but, is that going to be a political statement that I either do or don't want to make? I don't know. Like, it's a topic that comes up a lot with bookstore owners and on blogs and stuff I've been following. And for the most part, I feel like the books that I have are not offensive, obviously. If anything would be extremely offensive, I probably wouldn't want it here anyway. But, I just want to appeal to everybody. And I'm just curious if you guys have experienced like banned book sections in bookstores you've been in, or I know there's a lot of stickers. I have a couple because, I think it's fun. But what are your thoughts on banned books or certain books in bookstores?
Well, first of all, I think it's interesting that as a bookstore owner, you really have to curate your collection, right? It's not possible to have every book ever, even just if you stuck with new releases. So it's interesting to think, yeah, you have to pick what you're going to have on your shelves. I mean, I definitely think I'm going to let Tara answer first.
Well, I think you can have banned books without making a statement about it and having a display. But I have been to bookstores such as Word Haven in Sheboygan and La Di Da here in Manitowoc that kind of takes pride in saying, we don't censor, we carry these banned books. And as someone who, is kind of prone to taking risks, I might be like, oh, the banned books, have I read all of them yet? And it is attractive to me because I'm, open to reading things that maybe are controversial. So I've seen it, both ways. And I think it's important to have the titles, maybe not a whole big section, but to have them available and maybe with just that little sticker and be like, ooh, look what I found, something that some people can't read.
Yeah.
I mean, is there
Yeah,
an
that's good advice.
official banned books association, or is it just publicly people start to say, oh, this book should be banned, and so suddenly it goes into that category?
I honestly don't know about. I know that there are certain books that are banned in like certain states or certain school districts or stuff like that. So I think you could probably just Google a list of banned books, and you'd probably find a huge list based on, but not that they're all banned everywhere. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Well, that
Yeah.
seems like it makes, it's important to make sure that they're available then, especially when, I was at Barnes and Noble a month or so ago with my son, and he showed me this book called Banned Books, right? And it kind of listed a bunch of books through history that have been considered banned. And some of them are just pieces of great literature, right? Like To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't understand, you know what I mean? Like, why is this a banned book? Why is this a story that we can't read or wouldn't want people to
Yeah.
read?
Right.
Agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a interesting topic, and I'm definitely going to put your book on my list, Tara.
So what are you reading currently, Carie?
I all of them, or just the main one? No, I'm actually listening to the Briar Club. Yes, so I am listening to this on audio, Libro.fm. That's a audiobook option for those that listen. So this is a historical fiction novel by Kate Quinn, and it takes place in the 1950s. And it's basically a story about a bunch of women that are living in this home, and it starts off with a murder, and then kind of like we were talking with atmosphere, kind of hooks you in, and then it goes through each of the characters, and they talk about kind of their experience in the United States in this town in the 1950s, and they're all funny, unique characters. Some of them they're older, younger, single. One has a child, but you're basically trying to get their backstory, so you know why they're living there and why. Like you don't even know who's killed at the beginning, so you're trying to figure that out too. I'm only about, I don't know, maybe 40% finished with it, maybe about halfway, but it's great. I love it. I love historical fiction. I love women's history. I was a history teacher in my first life. So I love the 1950s. There's racism issues, there's misogyny, there's the Red Scare politics stuff going on. It's all the stuff I love. So it's great. I'm enjoying it.
I love historic fiction too because you're kind of learning about another place and time while you're reading.
Exactly.
And I think that it's so important to be familiar with some of these topics, right? Like only by knowing about them can we prevent them continuing or happening again, right?
Right. Yeah. And just the the rules of these women have to follow to live in this house, and they can't have any sleepovers with men, and the rules that they have at their jobs and what they have to wear. I mean, and this is the 1950s, where it's not that long ago. It's so interesting. And yeah, again, just the politics side of it is really interesting too. Yeah.
I just started listening to the book club for troublesome women, and I'm just a little bit of the way in, but that's set in like 1960s era. And so women are still dealing with some of those, unrealistic restrictions and expectations. And it's hard to, I mean, it's a really good book so far, but it's hard to recognize that was a reality for so many. That pisses me off. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say that on air, but okay. Tara, have you read this book?
I haven't. I have not read anything by Kate Quinn, actually. Are all of her books mysteries, or are they more?
This is the first book I've read by her also. I know a couple popular, the Astral Library is a real popular book of hers, but I've not read that. I don't know. I'm not sure if they all are. The covers all look similar, where there's kind of like a mysterious female main character and on the cover. So I'm guessing they're maybe like that, but I don't know that for sure.
I read The Alice Network by Kate Quinn.
Yeah.
That's the only book I've read by her, but that's like World War II France and what women did as part of the French resistance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was a really great read. It turned me on to Kate Quinn. So that's why I was excited to see that. And then my mom grabbed a book for me from a little free library, and it says it's by Kate Quinn.
Oh.
But doesn't that look totally non-Kate Quinn? So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if this is the same Kate Quinn. Like, this doesn't look like the type of book I would ever typically grab. So I'm super curious.
Yeah, I agree with you. That doesn't, like I said, her covers kind of all look the same. It's a little bit more modern than that, but yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be curious what you think.
Yeah, like the cover of this is
Right.
intriguing. This is something I'm like, oh, okay, I'd pick that up.
Yeah. And the Rose Code, yeah, that's on the cover of that one too. I've heard good things about that book, but have not read it. So I'm definitely a fan so far. I'm sure I will read more of her books going forward.
Excellent. Viewers, if you've read any Kate Quinn and you have a recommendation or want to share what you're reading, put it in the chat. We'd love to know. Tara, do you have something started? Or are you in the midst of, did you say, of Lula Dean's Little Free Library?
Oh no, I finished that a couple weeks ago, and I just started Writing on Empty, which is a guide to finding your voice, and it's written by Natalie Goldberg. And Natalie Goldberg, I credit with helping me write my book in 2014. And she, with her first book, or maybe an earlier book, Writing Down the Bones. And lately, because I work so much with other people's books and read so much, my own long form writing has kind of taken a back seat. So the title Writing on Empty appealed to me, and hopefully I get inspired. It's really well written. It's very conversational, kind of reflective. So it's Natalie Goldberg.
And you had shared with me the one about the bones. What was that title again?
Writing Down the Bones. That's the
yeah.
first one.
Yeah, it was excellent and enjoyable to read. Even though it was like instructional, it didn't necessarily read that way. So
Yeah, it has like a memoir piece to it, like a storytelling involved within the instruction.
hey, I just wanted to let you guys know, Linda said the Briar Club is the best.
Awesome. I'm excited to finish it.
Nice. So, Carie, once you finish it, what's next on your reading list? Do you have something already queued up?
Well, our book club book this month is The Road to Tender Hearts by Annie Hartnett. Have either of you read that?
No.
Okay, it's pretty popular book right now, and the book club members that have finished it have loved it. It's a road trip story about this kind of family that's forced together, and it's kind of dark humor, I guess. I have not gotten into it because I've been getting books ready for everybody else. But I am excited. It was actually my pick. So it was my pick this month, and I'm really excited to finish it. It's got family dynamics. It's got some addiction issues. It has a road trip, like I said. So it sounds great, and it's funny. So I have to get going on it, because with my book club thing, I always wait till too long. I want to finish it before, like right before book club, but sometimes I wait too long, and then I'm like scrambling at the end to get it done. So, because I'm afraid if I finish it too early, I'm not going to remember anything, which is very likely. So,
One advantage to listening to an audiobook is I do all of my audiobooks at 1.25 speed. So it's
Oh,
just
I was going to mention that before when we were talking about Libby. The problem I love Libby and I use it a lot, but by the end of the 2 weeks, I'm listening to it on full, like 1.5. And, my son will get in the car with me and he's like, what are you listening to? Because it's just this like person. Exactly. Like, I got it. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I am loving this conversation so much, Tara and Carie, right? Just sharing. You're exposing me to books that I wasn't even aware of, but I cannot wait to read. And Carie, you are preparing to open a bookstore, making that possible. Tell us when you're opening and what to expect and where people can find you and interface.
Okay, well, we're opening for the public on Monday morning at 10 a.m., Monday, May 18th. Yeah. Yeah, I'm freaking out. No, we're ready. We're good. And we're right on Main Street in Two Rivers, the former Paper Crane location. It doesn't look anything like Paper Crane anymore, but it's right on Main Street, 1610 Washington Street. And next week is going to be a full week. Like I said, we open Monday at 10. Thursday night, I have an event with Tara and a local author, which Tara, I'm sure you'll talk about. And then Friday, I'm doing a ribbon cutting and grand opening little celebration here starting at noon. So yeah, it's going to be a fun week. There's been a lot of work put into this, and we're just excited to get open.
And Carie, if I understand, it's not just books. You have, book adjacent, book related, all sorts of ephemera.
Right. Yes. So it's called Uncorked because I do have a wine bar in here also. So yeah, it is. The back half is a little loungy wine area. I have other things to drink as well, but and I also have a lot of gifts in here because I love books. Obviously, I love bookstores, but I also love to look at book stuff. So bookmarks, stickers, all greeting cards, pens, journals, all sorts of stuff. Totes.
I can't wait to see it. When? What are your hours? You said you're opening at 10 on Monday.
10 to 6 Mondays, Tuesdays, 10 to 8 Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to 6 Saturday, and 11 to 4 Sunday. So I will be open 7 days a week.
Wow.
I'll make sure my hours are posted. They're pinned pretty much at the top of all our social media, but we'll be open 7 days a week, at least through the summer, to kind of take advantage of the season here, and then we'll see in fall what we do. But yeah, excited for next week.
Carie, you're going to have this book launch party for the Freshwater Press next release on Thursday. We'll bring Racine author Julie Jacob up for that. And I'm wondering, do you have other events, open mics, book clubs, other book launches? I think Emily Howe has a book out now.
She does. Yep. My Soul Stirs. And we're going to do a book launch for her on May 25th. So next Thursday, or a week from Thursday. And I do have a couple other events tentatively scheduled for June and July. We have another book launch with Freshwater, and we have and then we have another event in July for a Two Rivers author. So we have a couple things going on. I do plan to host book clubs here, but I'm not going to start those until August.
Nice.
Just as I kind of get my footing here, and the summer is always so busy for everybody. So we'll start those this later summer, early fall. And I plan to have a couple different options for that. So hopefully people can join us there. Also, I'm open if people want to bring their book club here. If you don't want to clean your house, or you don't want to do any of that.
Great idea.
Yeah, so you could book your book club to have it here. I have a couple book clubs that have reached out to me already. So that's the kind of opening plan, and you know,
Sounds
I'm
good.
yeah, I have ideas for events all summer. So
Well, Tara, can you tell us about the upcoming book launch event? You said Julie
Well, you
Jacobs
can
coming up.
find the
Tell us about.
information on Facebook, but the cool thing is it's the 50th anniversary of the bicentennial, which happened on July 4th, 1976. And this book is a slice of life tale about a family in a lakeshore community who celebrates in 1976. And it's kind of neat because it was 50 years ago. I'm a bicentennial baby, so I'm especially excited about this to have this really just a simpler time going back to that historical fiction that we all like. And it's local, so you'll recognize things that you did in childhood or things you've heard your parents talk about or things you remember as a young mom. It's really something for everyone. It's multi-generational. So that party will be 6 to 8 at Carrie's. We're so excited. She has a signature cocktail planned.
I do, yeah, a little berry sangria, red, white, and blue. So it's yeah. Watch social media. We have kind of a fun little reel plan for that one, but.
Nice.
Great.
Nice. And you mentioned that it's local literature, Tara. I realize I have a real appreciation for books that are set where we live, right? That are set along the lakeshore or in Wisconsin where things are familiar. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to give voice to those writers in this area.
Okay, well, I'm going to recommend that you both post links once we're done with the show. Tara, to the event, Carie, to your opening, to your ribbon cutting, things like that, so people know how to get in touch and join in the fun.
Excellent.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Speaking of fun, you guys, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Excellent.
Thanks
Thanks,
for having
Tina.
This was our
so fun.
inaugural episode, Tara, of Shelf Talk with Tara and Tina. Yeah!
Yay. We'll
What do you
be
say we
doing
do it
this-
again next month?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for watching today. This was the premiere episode of Shelf Talk with Tara and Tina. Your hosts, Tara Huck with Freshwater Press. I'm Tina Prigge with Coolest Coast. And our special guest today, Carie Paczkowski, Uncorked Book Lounge. Watch for it to open next week. Take care, everyone, and enjoy your reads.